Hej, hej! Witam wszystkich bardzo serdecznie. Dziękuję za wszelkie komentarze, łapki, ogólnie za subskrypcję. Wielkie dzięki. No to co, lecimy dalej z zadaniem naoczny świadek. Idziemy na rozmowę. A, zrobiłem porządek. Statek zmieniłem sobie. Ten, co tam w jakimś odcinku znalazłem. Przejąłem go. No i zrobiłem małe zakupy co do pistoletów. Nie wiem jeszcze czemu tego mam. Czemu nie sprzedałem. A, mało ważne. O, mój pierwszy zakup. I tutaj kolejny. Mamy strzelbę i to jest karabin laserowy. A potem są już, no do tego nie mogę naboi znaleźć. Ten ma damage nie jest zły, bo 56. Ale nie mamy amunicji do niego. Ale nosimy go. Pewnie znajdziemy kiedyś tą amunicję. Lub kupimy w sklepie. Jak będzie.
Yeah?
I wszelkie zasoby to w loży w naszym pokoju mamy taki safe, który nie ma żadnych ograniczeń co do ładowności, także bez obaw możemy pakować tam wszystko ile chcemy. Także mamy magazyn bez ograniczeń.
Captain, over here.
No cześć. Gotowa na rozmowę? Bo ja nie.
The workup's in the cabinet's hands. They said they'll call for us once they've gotten to properly review it. But listen, I know I should have been more forthcoming about who I was earlier. So, in the interest of full disclosure, there's one more thing you ought to know before we head up there. My relationship with the UC. It's more complicated than it might seem at first glance. The UC's actually the only reason I'm here in the first place. I am a clone of a man named Francois Sanon, one-time fleet admiral of the UC during the Colony War, former head of the UC Navy. They called him Ve Victus. Woe to the defeated, in Old Earth Latin. A title he earned. The program I was a part of, it was the UC's attempt to create a new generation of military minds from one of their most respected tacticians. Secure the leadership of the UC military for generations to come.
Jesteś klonem.
I'm the last. A few of my siblings, they passed when we were young. Training accidents and the like. But most of the rest were deployed to the front lines during the Colony War, and they never came back. Not a day goes by where I don't think about what the world would look like with them still in it. A non-trivial amount of gene editing. Clone, honestly, isn't even really the right term for our relationship, thanks to the amount of donor material that was required to bring me into this world. He and I are different on more than a few levels, but there's no denying the fact we're inextricably linked. He would have happily told you he was one of the greats. Ultimately, though, it didn't matter. The man I was cloned from, my father, was executed for acts he committed during the war. The man caused a lot of death, on both sides. Freestar Collective, and UC. Military, and civilians. And the things he did, well, they're a part of the reason the UC and Freestar Collective aren't really on great terms to this day. So my involvement, it could be another obstacle they throw at us up there. I just wanted you to be forewarned. He had his men open fire on civilian ships during the Battle of Cheyenne. A battle that he ultimately ended up losing anyway, devastating the UC fleet and bringing the colony war to an ugly end for the UC. But he's also the one who ordered the bombing of the Londinian spaceport during their outbreak, condemning countless lives. Both sides agreed the settled systems would be better without him.
Jakieś złe przeczucie mam do tego wszystkiego tutaj.
I really appreciate you saying that. I just thought you deserved to know, considering how much you've done already. You know, while we've got a second, was there anything else we needed to discuss? I know you got dropped into the middle of this pretty fast. Or if you've got any last-minute business to attend to, now might be a good time. No telling how long the cabinet's gonna keep us waiting out here. That's actually a souvenir from my time on Mars. The Red Devils unit I was a part of, they were founded by recruits who'd worked some of Mars' deepest mines. Folks used to adversity. The dust at those depths, it seeps into everything. The human eye included. Where the name Red Devils came from in the first place. It became an unwritten rite of passage that anyone wanting to enlist with the Devils had to do a stint in the mines before they could join up. The Devils were always talked about in such revered tones during my training, so as soon as I was old enough, I signed up. And the eyes were my parting gift. I mean, we never spent a lot of time together. He was too busy being fleet admiral to deal with kids. I was raised by a pair of guardians instead. Until his defeat during the colony war, though, he was known as an extremely effective commander. Savvy. Perceptive. That mind opened a lot of doors for him. And for me, too. But Ve Victus, for all his ability, was heartless. Ruthless to a fault. In the end, that's what cost him his life. It's hard to know exactly what might sway them. I'd just be honest about what you saw. A colony wiped out, and a lot of lives lost. Something we don't want anyone else to have to experience. Eye strain from the amount of reading I've got on the horizon if we succeed. The Terramorph project never went any. It couldn't. They're deadly creatures, but they aren't xenoweapons. The cabinet not opening the archives is probably a bigger risk than them handing over the files. that data itself isn't dangerous. Which probably wouldn't be a bad point for us to bring up, should the opportunity arise.
No dobrze, no nie ma co.
Then I guess it's just a matter of...
I have something I need to discuss
All
with you.
parties, please proceed to the cabinet chambers.
Thanks for taking time to
Sounds like
chat.
our cue.
I
Here we
really
go.
need a friendly ear right about now. I received a message
tej
from
chwili
Constellation, and it's given me a lot to think about. Not at all. It's just a list of requests, but when you read between the lines, it's obvious my absence is causing issues. No, it's the first time. But the fact that they're reaching out, well, it's given me a lot to think about. Something like that. It's difficult to explain. Before I joined Constellation, I served for 8 years as the head of the Navigator Corps, until the UC decided to axe the department. It was a branch of the United Colonies Navy, a small fleet of ships outfitted for galactic exploration. Basically, a military version of Constellation. If you want to help, I feel like I need to give you some background. Just bear with me. Had we notched some significant achievements, I'd agree with you. You see, the top brass demanded press-worthy discoveries to justify the spending, and money was tight after the war. Shutdown was inevitable. At the end of the day, I was in charge, so the blame obviously fell on my shoulders. Seriously? The Colony War, of course. You know, that little incident that caused the death of thousands of decent men and women as they squabbled over border disputes. That war. Well, perhaps it was easy for you, but my obligations to the UC didn't allow me to simply pick up and leave. Sorry. Things are tough for me right now, and I need you to listen. You once told me that you favored the journey over the destination, so I'm hoping you'll understand what I'm trying to say. I failed, because I was more concerned about exploring the stars than pushing a pencil. That's just it, though. They left me to my own devices, and yet I somehow screwed everything up. Yes, maybe. Call it whatever you want. My drive, my initiative, my optimism. It's been my greatest strength and my worst nightmare. It elevates me to these positions of authority, but all I want to do is explore, not sit and make sure all the accounts are balanced. Yes, exactly. If it's obvious to you, imagine how obvious it is to someone like Barrett or Mateo. Oh, they must be itching to replace me by now. God damn it. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. Oh, here you are trying to help me and I'm yelling at you. You have to understand. Once Aja retired, I lost the only person that gave a damn. Of course you do. I'm just not thinking straight right now. Phew, this has taken a lot out of me, so maybe we should just leave things right here. But thank you for being there and listening. It helped. It really did.
No problem. Chęcią wysłucham. Coś ciekawego.
You're in the Vanguard, right? Hey, thanks for your service.
Idziesz? Tyle osób będzie słuchać? Ja już się boję. Kawę ma? Pączki jakieś może? Coś? Zgodniałem.
Ah, welcome. You must be the captain Hadrian mentioned in her report. You have our thanks for the risks you faced in securing this information.
Oh, I'm sure she did.
Yes, well, precisely how urgent is what I hope will determine here today. So now, we have two petitioners here making a surprising request. Access to the UC Xeno Warfare Team's Terramorph data, currently housed in the Armistice archives. A request which will require not just this body's agreement, but that of all three Armistice signatories. UC, Freestar Collective, and House Varun. Now, Captain, we've all read Hadrian's report on the subject, but we have yet to hear from you. Perhaps you could summarize for the Cabinet what it is you see as the goal of this endeavor.
No tak.
That is something to consider. Though we also have to take into account the nature of the data you require.
Madam President, I object to the very premise of this meeting. While no one would argue that what happened on Tau Ceti was anything less than a tragedy, terramorph attacks are not some sudden new threat on the horizon. They've been happening for generations. To demand we hand over banned archival knowledge and possibly upset the balance of galactic diplomacy because of a single attack seems at best panic. And at worst, a power grab by the daughter of a bloodthirsty warmonger and her associates.
I would remind the chief diplomat who he's speaking to. If it's my father you're looking to address, you're welcome to consult a medium. I would also ask how many deaths the cabinet requires to act. 50? 50,000? Because if tragedies like Tau Ceti are just prelude to more attacks, I have no doubt you'll get the body count you require.
Let's keep this civil, shall we? And while there should be no doubt, the preservation of life stands paramount among this body's duties. Chief Yassine has a point. Will a single attack, however troubling, be sufficient to convince the other factions to grant us access to what they no doubt consider weapon data? I don't think it's enough. Perhaps you can help, Captain. As the one who actually collected the sample in question, did this terramorph seem at all alarming to you?
That is worth considering. This attack took place on an almost completely uninhabited world. The casualties were minimal as a result. But if there's another attack, will we be so lucky?
Yes, a fine point, Admiral. So then, Captain, given the discussion now and the information you've been privy to thus far, if you were in our position, would you grant the request made to open the archives?
No ale te informacje myślę, że są w tych danych.
Listen, compose your thoughts. You let us know when you're ready.
Ciężka sprawa.
I'm uncomfortable opening the archives without gathering more information. However, if that's the path forward you prefer, then so be it.
I'm inclined to agree.
As am I.
I suppose that does get to the heart of the point, doesn't it? Very well. I consent. The galaxy was lucky you were here today, Captain.
You and I are in agreement, Chief Diplomat. So, if there are no other objections, I believe we can agree to give our full backing to make the request to...
Attention. An incident has occurred. Facility lockdown engaged.
Incident? Chief Sarkin, what's happening?
There's been an attack at the spaceport. Terramorphs.
Terramorphs. More attacks. Just as predicted.
Good God.
Damn it. They're here. Now.
There must be another explanation. The creatures evaded our scanner somehow.
There will be plenty of time for conjecture later. Chief Sarkin, order the evacuation of the spaceport and have your men contain the things, but do it discreetly. The last thing we need is a citywide panic.
Yes, ma'am.
Admiral Logan, the local barracks can provide support?
I'll make the order myself. The nearest anti-Xeno squad, though, is off-world. Going to take a while to bring them in.
Well then, we'll have to make do with the tools we've got. You two, We can't risk those things getting out of the spaceport. I want you both on the next train there. We'll let them know you're coming and that you've dealt with these things before. Now go show them how it's done.
We're on it, ma'am. Captain, I'm right behind you. Let's get down there.
Dziwne. A tak akurat w takim momencie podejrzany jak diabli. Mocno podejrzane.
Thank you for what you did. We didn't want to hurt them.
The way those people were acting, I've seen this before. They were under the Terramorph's influence, weren't they?
I don't know. They were down at the port and they just started screaming. We tried to restrain them, get them on the train to get them out of harm's way, but some of the other officers down there, we couldn't restrain them fast enough. They just started firing on us. People we knew. They went berserk.
Pheromonic projection. Some Terramorphs, they can induce this fog. It affects everyone differently, but some people just lose control, turn against everyone around them, even if they don't want to. They're like a puppet. You kill the morph, you break the hold. But this means we're gonna need to be real careful with our fire, and keep that EM weapon at the ready. I honestly was just wondering the same thing. But no, you don't need to worry about me. I've had a Terramorph try it on me before. I'm not susceptible. So we'll just have to make sure to watch out for each other down there.
Będziesz szalała we mnie.
I'm not suggesting. It's documented behavior. The result of the projection, though, can vary wildly. Some folks just shrug it off. Others hallucinate. And some lose control altogether. They'll lash out at anyone around them, but still be aware while they're doing it. Those cases, you'll either need to knock them out with EM fire, or free them by killing the Terramorph. Let's do it.
Nat's unlocked. Please, do what you can to help them.
Did you hear that?
No time to waste, Captain. Stash the EM and pull some firepower. Let's move!
An evacuation order has been issued for the spaceport district. All citizens are required to proceed to the nearest shelter.
No to będzie zabawa.
You might back up.
Da.
Stand there. Good.
Wait,
Fajnie.
officer? Are you and this woman experts? Take whatever we can get right now. We've got the remaining creatures locked down on the landing pad, barely holding our perimeter. They said you've done this before. Well, one fire team to spare and whatever supplies you need, but I can't risk them taking over any more of my men. Put those things down and do it fast. We'll hold them as best we can.
Macie ciekawego? Nie macie nic ciekawego. A tylko tak do sprawdzenia. A, jest jeden. Gdzie uciekasz? Mamy go. Jeszcze jeden, tak?
A new surprise. Let's see how quickly it can die.
There's one right there! Kill it!
Dalej, ładuj to.
Target down. Nice work, Captain.
It's over. Thank God. If these things reached the populated areas of the city, we would have had an absolute massacre on our hands.
Ale inaczej wyglądają. Chyba. No dobrze, mamy to. Żyjemy. Nic nam się nie stało. Ammo nam się skończyło. A co to? Jak leży, to bierzemy. Trzeba porozmawiać. Już chciałem uciekać.
Guess they weren't kidding about you two. The universe put the right people in the right place. Certainly doesn't feel like it.
I don't want to think what would have happened if you two hadn't been here.
Just glad we could rise to the occasion. Captain, we should report back to the President. Let her know the Terramorphs have been dealt with. Take care of yourself, Sergeant.
Jak to uważam, ten atak taki dziwny. Na przykład w takim momencie czy to nie jest jej zasługa jakaś? Ten atak? No i zobaczymy, co tam dalej się potoczy. Że po prostu w jakiś sposób chce tu zaistnieć i dlatego był ten atak. No zobaczymy.
They said you're free to come and go.
That's a relief to hear. Thank you, gentlemen. Let your people all know how much we owe them today.
Yes, ma'am.
Ah, there you are. I believe we have some things we should discuss.
The loss of life, the damage to the spaceport, the costs of this attack are greater than I think we realize.
As an officer, I make it my responsibility to call their family. I've got a lot of calls to make now.
Captain, Hadrian, it would appear that the Cabinet owes you our thanks for what you did for the city today, as well as an apology. Your concerns about the Terramorphs, well, consider them validated.
Thank you, ma'am.
No nie.
Of course. I only wish we could have acted sooner. Now, today's events have only clarified our path forward in the eyes of the Cabinet. You will have our full support in collecting the Terramorph data from the archives, as well as a subsequent investigation into the nature of these attacks. But to accomplish those goals, we're going to need the right people in the right places. As such, the Cabinet has authorized me to reinstate you, Hadrian, effective immediately, to your former rank of Major. As soon as we've got the data in hand, we want you investigating these attacks and how to stop them. Will you do this?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. I'd be honored.
Excellent. But as you've both made clear, for such an investigation to succeed first, we're going to need someone to convince the Freestar Collective and House Varun to play ball. Someone who knows precisely the sorts of dangers the colonies and all the galaxy are facing right now. The Cabinet wants you, Captain, to be that representative. The Cabinet wants progress, and wants it quickly. You're already far more familiar with the situation than any diplomat would be. There's also no diplomat alive that can claim they helped keep a cadre of Terramorphs off the embassy doorsteps. The Cabinet was unanimous. They want you.
Dobrze, no. Nie wiem, czy wiecie, co liczę w ogóle, no ale...
We do. In exchange, we're willing to fast-track your citizenship upon collection of the data. So, will you help us?
Tak z ciekawości.
It has its perks. Only citizens can purchase property in the city. We also pay reduced prices on most goods and services across the UC. There's also a credit disbursement when you first join. Help get you on your feet. But above all, you'd become a dedicated part of the greatest faction in the galaxy. If you're willing to help us, we can open that door.
Dobrze. To otwórzcie szeroko te drzwi, bo by to pewnie dużo wynosił.
I'm glad to hear it. Now, we of course won't be sending you in without the proper support. Deputy McIntyre in the Office of Interstellar Affairs will be your guide on gaining access to the archives. You should be able to find her in her office across the hall. And on behalf of the whole of the United Colonies, you have our thanks. You're dismissed.
I'm gonna go check in with
Start taking a plan didn't get where we are by sitting on our laurels.
Cio, nie
Our
wszyscy.
laurels, in fact, became uninhabitable a long time ago. Helps to remember that.
Co tam czytasz? Ale to już w następnym odcinku. Cześć, cześć.